And to look at how the economy has performed in the first half year and, of course, the outlook. We're being joined by Dr. Muda Yusuf, the immediate past Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Yusuf. And by the way, congratulations on your successful completion of your tenure as the DG of LCCI.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Right. So what's your general assessment of the economy in the first half of this year?
Yeah, thank you again, Chimeze. Well, the assessment of the economy will depend on what metrics you are using, because operators or stakeholders in the economy have different perspectives as to what we regard as the economic performance. On account of GDP, for instance, you would say that the economy has improved slightly, given the fact that we have exited recession. And in Q1, we posted a GDP growth of 0.51, which is also very fragile, but it's still much better than where we are coming from. So from the point of view of the GDP performance, I would say that the economy has done fairly well. Because the growth is still very fragile. And when you relate the growth to the population, you know that there's a big gap. Then on account of the investors or business climate, that's the perspective of investors, it has not been okay at all. The investors still face very serious challenges with regard to the situation with investment, whether domestic or foreign. All these issues that we have always grappled with are still persistent. Issues around energy costs, as you know, the cost of diesel now is around 280 naira per liter. And a situation where we have challenges with public power supply and all of that. Even the cost of gas is also going up. And even access to gas is also an issue. So energy issue remains a very big problem in the first half of the year. Then, of course, the foreign exchange issue has also remained with us. A lot of investors still complain a lot about the foreign exchange situation. And of course, the security environment is also a big issue in the business environment, affecting practically all sectors. But of course, it affects some sectors much more than the others, particularly those in agri and agro-allied industries. Those are very seriously affected. Okay. Then, of course, general purchasing power in the economy is also weak. So a lot of industries also complain about high inventory, low margins, low sales, low capacity utilization. So from the point of view of the investors, I'm talking about the investment climate now, I don't think there is anything to cheer between January and now. But I must say that with the gradual recovery of the economy, some sectors are beginning to come alive, especially the hospitality, the aviation, and the entertainment sectors. They are beginning to come alive gradually, at least within the first half of this year. And to the average citizen, because the economy is not just about the GDP or the investors, it's also about the people, the ordinary man. The ordinary man will not rate the economy as performing well at all, particularly because of the high cost of living, because of this inflationary situation.
And
so
Dr. Muda,
these perspectives, you can see that you see different outcomes in terms of assessment of performance.
All right, but we had one positive, though. We had inflation taper, in May compared to April. What does that tell us?
Well, that is good news. But again, inflation is still generally highly elevated because we are talking about an inflation of about 18%. 18% is still very, very high. And to make matters worse, the food inflation is around 23%, which is why there is so much cry about poverty and about hunger in the land. Between January and now, there are instances where prices have gone up by as high as 50%. In some cases, almost even close to 100%. So yes, we have seen a marginal reduction in inflation. We had a very sharp spike in inflation up until March, then from April to now, a gradual deceleration. But its prices, the 18% inflation is still very high by any standard. And this has implications, serious implications for the welfare of the people. It has serious implications for poverty. It has serious implications for the cost of production, the operating costs, the profit margins, and so on and so forth. So the inflation situation is also very, very worrisome. There are all sorts of theories as to what are the key drivers. The stronger theory is that, well, these are supply side issues. But of course, we are beginning to see that there are also monetary issues. Because if you look at the rate at which the government is borrowing from the central bank, it has very serious implications for money supply, which has serious implications for prices as well. So we need to begin to look at all of these dimensions in order to be able to know how to tackle it, because we cannot afford to continue like this. The inflation situation is already creating a lot of tension, social tension, especially among the ordinary people. And we need to look at how we deal with it on the supply side and on the monetary side. And we also look at our policies, especially trade policy and all of that, and issues of the forex market, to ensure that we're able to scale up our supply and output, and also improve predictability of the economy, improve investors' confidence, make the environment a lot more predictable to reduce uncertainty. So all of these things are very critical, but really, I must tell you that the inflation situation, even though it has decelerated marginally, is still a big issue, both for citizens and for those who are in business.
All right, let me take you up on what you said about the interest rate situation. So, do you think perhaps it's time for maybe the central bank to tinker a little bit with the policy rate when they meet later this month?
Well, it is very likely that will happen because inflation is still high. But I must say, and just as the central bank has also always said, that the situation in the Nigerian economy presents a major dilemma, even to policymakers, including the central bank. Because on one hand, we are still struggling with a growth that is very fragile. We are struggling with high unemployment. We are talking about 33% as at the last number. And on the other hand, we are dealing with high inflationary pressure, which is affecting, purchasing power, escalating the cost of production, eroding profit margins, and so on. It's a policy dilemma. But I think that at this point, perhaps the CBN may also begin to look at, but more importantly, is to appeal to the fiscal authorities to moderate the rate at which we monetize fiscal deficit. Now, the finance minister just yesterday presented the MTEF, that's medium-term expenditure framework of 2022 to 2024. And one very striking thing about the numbers that we saw was that we are having interest charges on ways and means. Ways and means are the credit advances to government. Ways and means of about 480 billion as at May. Interest, we are not talking of the principal. This is also a very disturbing scenario. So we need to also look at the way at which the CBN also funds the fiscal deficit. It's very important, because this may also be a major source of the inflationary pressure that we are having, and the impact this is having on both production, exchange rates, and even poverty. So it's a dilemma, I must admit. Whichever way you look at it, I mean, you may worry about growth. We need to stimulate growth because growth is still fragile. You worry about inflation. You also need to look at to ensure that the inflation doesn't go out of hand. But I think that perhaps some steps will be taken to curb the inflationary pressure, because inflation at 18% is still very high.
All right, Doctor, let's look at the PIB passage. Now, what impact do you see this having on the oil and gas sector?
Well, first let me commend the National Assembly for what they have done around the PIB. It's very commendable. We expect that if the concerns of the investors in the oil and gas sector, particularly the upstream investors, have been taken into account in the final outcome of the bill, because I haven't seen what the final outcome is. Because during the deliberations on the PIB, concerns were expressed especially around the issue of the fiscal terms, because the oil sector today is not what it used to be years ago, because there's a lot of migration, there are a lot of issues around decarbonization, migration to renewable energy and all of that. So we need to put a lot of incentives on the table to encourage investment in the oil and gas. So I'm hoping that those concerns have been captured in the bill. If that is so, then we expect to see a lot more investment in the oil and gas industry. But for a long time, because of the uncertainty around the policy regime, because of very weak commitment to reforms in the oil and gas sector, we have not been able to optimize the benefits, the value that sector can bring to the economy. So we see a lot more investment in the sector. We are likely to see a lot more earnings in terms of foreign exchange. We are likely to see a lot more creation of quality jobs in that sector. And that may also help us to even improve our refining capacity, because the PIB has implications both for the upstream and the downstream. So if we have these reforms even in the downstream, we are likely to see a lot more investment in refining capacity, which will reduce the pressure on our foreign reserves, because we spend a whole lot of money importing petroleum products, which is why we are not getting the full benefit of even the high oil price that we currently have in the global oil market.
All right. Well, Mr. Yusuf, well, I must say that this is one of the first achievement of this administration, passing the PIB. Now, how do you now see the rest of the year ending for the economy? What's your outlook?
Well, the outlook is at first, because oil price is also a critical factor in what happens to growth outlook. And the projection is that oil price is likely to remain high for the rest of the year. I think for us as an oil-producing country, that is good news. So we expect that to impact positively on the economy. Of course, other things are also conditional. I mean, it depends on what we're able to do around other major variables impacting the economy. If we're able to progress and accelerate the reforms around our foreign exchange market, which we are beginning to see, but we are not yet there, because if you look at the NAFEX rate, which is about 410, if you look at the open market rate, it's over 500. So we still have a huge issue around disparity of rates, and we need to address it. We also need to address the issue of liquidity in the foreign exchange market. Those things are very key to recovery, and these are policy things. These are domestic variables. We need to deal with issues of security. If we're able to deal with it and deal with it very quickly, we're also likely to see an improvement in our agricultural sector and agro-allied industries. Then we have issues at the ports. The port is still in crisis. And there's no way you can function properly in the international trade arena if you have the kind of crisis we have in our ports. So getting the ports right is also very key. So these are some of the things that will influence the outcome. But I must admit that at least the oil price is going to play a major role in this. Oil output is also likely to play a major role. But we need to deal with all these very important business environment variables for us to be able to accelerate the rate of recovery.
All right, Dr. Yusuf, I will have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Dr. Muda Yusuf is the immediate past Director General of NACIMA, and congratulations again on your tenure.
Video of LCCI, not Nasima.
Sorry about that, the LCCI.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, in the meantime, the federal government last week gave an overview of the 2021 fiscal outcomes and update on 2021 budget implementation. That's our conversation next in a moment. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning.